Good day, everyone. I'm Ana Isidora, and together with my groupmates, we will be discussing El Filibusterismo, the second novel written by Dr. Jose Rizal.
So Rizal worked hard to complete his second novel, El Filibusterismo, while living in different places in Europe. When Rizal was in Brussels, time passed very quickly, but he used his time wisely by carefully correcting and improving the manuscript of his novel. Kahit may nagpapakita ng affection sa kanya tulad ni Suzanne Jacobi, hindi siya nagpadaig sa distractions dahil mas nakatuon siya or nakafocus sa kanyang pagsusulat. Rizal first started writing El Filibusterismo in October 1887 in Calamba. Later, when he went to London in 1888, he revised the plot and improved the chapters he had already written. Habang naglalakbay siya sa ibang lugar tulad ng Paris at Madrid, patuloy din niyang dinadagdagan ang mga kabanata ng novel. After several years of writing and revising, he finally finished the manuscript in Bayerische, France on March 29, 1891. Because printing a book was expensive during that time, Rizal moved from Brussels to Ghent in Belgium where printing was cheaper. So kahit nahirapan siya sa pera habang pinaprint ang kanyang novel, hindi siya sumuko. And with the help of his friend na si Valentin Ventura, na-publish ng El Filibusterismo na karugtong ng Noli Me Tangere noong September 18, 1891. So on July 5, 1891, Rizal and his friend Jose Alejandrino traveled from Brussels papuntang Ghent, Belgium. The reason was, mas mababa ang cost of living sa Ghent at mas mura rin ang pagpapaprint ng libro compare sa Brussels. And dahil nga kulang ang pera ni Rizal, kinakailangan niyang pumunta sa lugar na mas makakatipid siya sa pagpapublish ng kanyang novel. And another reason was Suzanne Jacobi, a woman in Brussels who showed affection towards Rizal. So kahit may attraction sa kanya si Suzanne, mas pinili ni Rizal na umalis dahil mas gusto niya mag-focus sa kanyang mission at pagpapublish ng kanyang book. And pagdating niya sa Ghent, simple at matipid ang pamumuhay ni Rizal. He stayed in a cheap boarding house and experienced financial difficulties while printing the novel. So sa tulong ng kanyang kaibigan na si Valentin Ventura, natuloy ang pag-publish ng kanyang libro and sa kabila ng mga hardships na naranasan ni Rizal, he successfully published the El Filibusterismo noong September 18, 1891, showing Rizal's perseverance and dedication to his country. So Jose Rizal and his friend Jose Alejandrino lived more cheaply while preparing to print El Filibusterismo sa Ghent, Belgium. So dahil sa limitadong pera ni Rizal, they stayed at the cheapest boarding house in 31 Rue de Flandre and lived frugally for 3 months from July to September. And they survived on the barest necessities and even prepared their own breakfast para lang makapag-save ng pera para ma-print yung novel ni Rizal. And before sila dumating sa Ghent, Rizal had finished the manuscript in Bayerische, France noong March 29, 1891. But the printing was so expensive which made moving to Ghent necessary. So kahit mahirap ang buhay at simple ang pamumuhay ni Rizal, he prioritized his mission to publish a novel that would awaken Filipino consciousness and expose colonial abuses. And their sacrifices show Rizal's discipline, perseverance, and patriotism, and the support of friends like Alejandrino and Valentin Ventura made it possible for El Filibusterismo to finally be printed and shared with the world. So this shows naman the frugal and disciplined life of Jose Rizal and Jose Alejandrino nung nakatira sila sa Ghent, Belgium in 1891. So dahil nga sa limitadong pera ni Rizal, nagstay sila sa boarding house kung saan si Rizal, he decided na mas cheap na gawin yung kanilang breakfast instead of paying for it. And dinivide niya yung box ng biscuits so that they would last 30 days, showing his meticulous planning and self-discipline. And si Alejandrino, at first, sinusunod niya yung ration ni Rizal. But then, soon, he ate more. While si Rizal, he followed and he limited himself to his daily allowance. So this shows Rizal's sacrifice, patience, and dedication noong nanirahan siya sa um, Ghent para lang makapag-save ng pera para ma-print ang El Filibusterismo. So this shows Rizal's practicality, his perseverance, his patriotism, providing that he prioritized his mission to awaken Filipinos over his personal comfort. So this shows the struggles of Jose Rizal in printing El Filibusterismo sa Ghent, Belgium. So dahil nga limited ang pera niya, he had to find a printing shop na papayagan siyang mag-pay ng partial payments and sinanglan niya rin yung kanyang mga alahas para makover yung down payments and early installments. And Rizal also lived very frugally. He stayed sa isang small room and he ate at the cheapest restaurants, while money from friends like Basa and Rodriguez Arias was quickly spent on printing costs. And in a letter, inamin niya na without more funds, he might have to stop the publication. So this story highlights Rizal's dedication, discipline, and sacrifice. So pinaritize niya ang pag-publish ng novel of his own comfort to ensure na it could expose the abuses of the Spanish trials and to awaken the Filipino consciousness during that time. By August 6, 1891, Jose Rizal faced a serious financial crisis habang piniprint niya ang El Filibusterismo in Ghent. So sinanglanan niya ang kanyang mga alahas. He stayed in a small room, eating at the cheapest restaurants, but still naubos pa rin ang pera niya para mabayaran yung printer. And in a letter to Basa in Hong Kong, Rizal wrote that although the printing had reached page 112, meron pa rin siyang utang sa maraming tao and he would have to suspend the publication and leave the work half-finished if ever na walang dumating na funds. So kahit malapit na maubos ang pera ni Rizal, he prioritized publishing the novel because the message of the novel was more important than his own comfort. And with the help from his friends like Valentin Ventura, printing was eventually completed and the novel was published on September 18, 1891. By August 6, 1891, Jose Rizal faced a serious financial crisis habang piniprint niya ang El Filibusterismo in Ghent. So sinanglanan niya ang kanyang mga alahas. He stayed in a small room, eating at the cheapest restaurants, but still naubos pa rin ang pera niya para mabayaran yung printer. And in a letter to Basa in Hong Kong, Rizal wrote that although the printing had reached page 112, meron pa rin siyang utang sa maraming tao and he would have to suspend the publication and leave the work half-finished if ever na walang dumating na funds. So kahit malapit na maubos ang pera ni Rizal, he prioritized publishing the novel because the message of the novel was more important than his own comfort. And with the help from his friends like Valentin Ventura, printing was eventually completed and the novel was published on September 18, 1891. So additionally, in a letter to Basa, he admitted that he was so frustrated na muntik niya nang sunugin yung manuscript pero hindi niya ito itinuloy kasi he remembered his friends who helped him throughout the publishing and the printing of his novel and those people who love his country or the Philippines. So on September 18, 1891, El Filibusterismo was finally printed and it marked a moment of joy for Jose Rizal after months of struggles, poverty, and financial stress. Dahil sa help ng kanyang kaibigan na si Valentin Ventura, who lent him money to finish the printing, Rizal was able to complete the novel, and he immediately sent copies kay Basa and Sixto Lopez sa Hong Kong na signed copy kay Ventura as a sign of gratitude na nagbigay rin siya ng complimentary copy sa kanyang mga kaibigan and reformers like Blumentritt, Ponce, Lopez Reina, T.H. Pardo de Travera, Antonio and Juan Luna, and Marcelo H. del Pilar. And this act shows Rizal's gratitude, humility, and recognition of the, of the support that he received, while the publication itself became a powerful tool to inspire Filipino nationalism and fight injustices in the Philippines. So after ma-publish ang El Filibusterismo noong 1891, it received a high praise galing sa Filipino patriots both abroad and in the Philippines, and the Filipino community in Barcelona published a tribute in La Publicidad, calling the novel a precious jewel whose style could be compared to Alexander Dumas, showing that Rizal's work was both original and exceptional. And the tribute was signed by prominent members of the propaganda movement gaya ni Graciano Lopez Jaena, Santiago Barcelona, Enrique Megalona, Santiago Iciano, Isidoro de Santos, Jose Gustillo, Raimundo Andres, Ramon Riego, Emiliano Camacho, Felino Cajucom, Bernabe Bustamante, and Vicente Reyes. These were Filipino reformists who used writing and journalism to fight for freedom, equality, and reform under Spanish rule, together with Jose Rizal. Their praise highlighted that El Filibusterismo was not only a literary masterpiece but also a powerful political tool that inspired Filipino nationalism and supported the call for reform both in Europe and in the Philippines. So after printing El Filibusterismo in Ghent in 1891, it was serialized in the liberal Madrid newspapers in El Nuevo Regiment, helping Spanish readers follow its story in installments. Most copies of the first edition were packed in wooden boxes and sent to Hong Kong, but almost all were confiscated, likely by Spanish authorities afraid of the novel's strong criticism of colonial abuses. And dahil dito, the surviving Gantt copies became extremely rare and were sold at very high prices, reaching 400 pesetas per copy. Pero despite these obstacles, the novel's ideas spread widely, inspiring Filipino reformists and patriots abroad, and its message of resistance and reform became a powerful influence for the nationalist movement in the Philippines. Alfredo Basilismo was dedicated to Gomusa, Father Mariano Gomez, Father Jose Burgos, and Father Jacinto Zamora, who were executed noong 1872 after being falsely accused of the Cavite Mutiny. Rizal, inspired by what his brother Prasiano told him as a child, honored them as martyrs of justice and liberty, and in his dedication, Rizal emphasized that the praised trial was unfair and shrouded in secrecy and that all Filipino remember them as heroes, not criminals. He wrote that his novel serves as a tribute to their memory and a reminder that anyone who dishonors them is morally complicit in their death. This dedication highlights Rizal's deep respect, patriotism, and commitment to justice, linking the novel's themes of oppression and reform to the real-life struggle of Filipino heroes. It also inspired later revolutionaries like Andres Bonifacio to fight for Philippine freedom, which eventually led to our freedom today. As a boy in Calamba, Rizal heard from his brother Prasiano the tragic story of Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora, priests unjustly executed on February 17, 1872. Years later, Rizal dedicated El Filibusterismo para sa kanila, calling his book a wreath over their unknown case and honoring their courage and sacrifices. And he made small errors in their ages and the date, but it didn't matter. The dedication remains a powerful tribute reminding Filipinos to remember their heroes, fight injustice, and keep courage and truth alive. So that's all for my part, and thank you for listening.
Now, dumako naman tayo doon sa the warning part ng libro. So, people who attack the book by focusing on minor details or hidden motives are wasting their time. So, the author's purpose is to expose a social disease, yung detrimental effect of social or the Spanish colonization. So, he ignores unimportant matters and presents only real and recent events that are true in substance. However, he disguises his characters so that they cannot be easily identified. Human nature remains the same when individuals pass away. So their vices persist and the writer aims to reveal this through his work. So ipinapakita pa rin dito na despite being fictional, nandun pa rin yung katotohanan behind the Spanish colonization. So they are going to waste their time who would attack this book by holding onto three false. True to his purpose of exposing the disease, he narrates only real facts. He has disguised his characters man passes, his vices remain. So, nasabi ko nga kanina na despite it being disguised, nandun pa rin yung katotohanan. So, in this explanation, so what would I explain? This section clearly establishes Rizal's purpose in writing El Filibusterismo to expose the deeper problems of society rather than entertain curiosity about specific individuals. So, by warning readers not to focus on triples or identifying real-life counterparts of characters, Rizal emphasizes that the novel is about systematic issues such as corruption, abuse of power, and the injustices that they faces in those here. So these problems are portrayed as recurring and deeply rooted, not limited to one person or era. The idea that man passes but his vices remain highlights the timeless nature of these societal flaws. So in this section, he encourages readers to engage critically with the message of the novel and reflect on the broader condition of society. Ito sa parte naman to, ipinapakita naman dito sa the warning part kung saan sinasabi ni Rizal sa mga readers not to focus on finding real character portrayers rather than mag-focus na tayo doon sa detrimental effect of Spanish colonization such as corruption, injustices, abuse. So in this part, makikita natin si Padre Damaso being one of the antagonists of the book. So ipinapakita dito kung gaano siya despite dun sa part na despite nakalibing na yung isang tao, ipinahukay niya pa rin so that they can find the truth. So dito, ipinakita naman dito ni Rizal kung gaano ka cruel, kung gaano ka brutal ang mga tao nung panahon na yon. Especially, I can cite some example nung panahon na yon about the injustices. Yung na-experience naman ni Rizal yung first Spanish brutality niya kung saan nislash siya sa likod ng isang Lieutenant Guardia Civil. So nung nagsumbong naman siya, nag-report naman siya sa kay Primo de Rivera, the Governor General during that time, hindi naman siya pinakinggan because he is a mere Indio and the Guardia Civil naman ay isang Spaniard. So ganun yung nag-stretch yung racism during that time or the ethnocentrism ng mga panahon na yon. Despite him being Filipino and the true people of the fatherland, hindi siya nakakuha ng justice because he is a mere Indio. May malaking agwat from their status. So now, let's talk about the forward part. So Rizal addresses Filipinos. So dito, saying that the fear of filibusterism has become exaggerated like a myth. So instead of avoiding it daw, people should confront reality and examine the true condition of the society. So ipinapakita naman dito ni Rizal yung magandang katotohanan kapag kinonfront natin yung condition of society. So upon seeing it, we should consider ourselves happy no matter whether they censure us. So if in the face of reality, fear is increased, they will have to be left in the hands of fatality, shaped by the faults and errors they commit every day. So dito naman, ipinapakita naman dito yung katotohanan na face ng mga tao nung panahon. So in this section, Rizal calls for honesty and courage and critical awareness among Filipinos naman. So he challenges the tendency to avoid uncomfortable truth by labeling them as a dangerous or rebellious. So instead, he argues that real progress begins with acknowledging the actual condition or the problems of what we face every day. So within the society and the government. So Rizal also accepts that speaking that truth may lead to criticism for punishment, but he sees this as a necessary sacrifice. So dito naman, pinapakita naman dito ni Rizal yung pag-face naman dun sa condition na talaga. So furthermore, he warns that ignoring reality will allow only problems to worsen, leaving societies to suffer the consequences of its own repeated mistakes. This serves as a strong appeal for accountability and a reminder that change starts with awareness and willingness to accept or confront the truth. Yun naman, pag-usapan naman natin yung the manuscript and the book. So the original handwritten manuscript of El Filibusterismo is preserved in the Philippines and shows Rizal's many corrections. So it was acquired by the government and consists of hundreds of pages. So dito naman pinapakita naman dito yung totoong form ng El Filibusterismo. So some parts like the foreword and the warning were not included in the printed version daw. So why? Possibly to save costs. Notes also indicate references to historical sources and show that some words Rizal crossed out are still readable in the manuscript. So meron ding original part in the manuscript and meron din yung published part yung the El Filibusterismo book. So this section provides information or important historical context about the creation and the preservation of El Filibusterismo. It shows Rizal's careful writing processes such as seen in the numerous corrections in the manuscript. So reflecting his dedication to expressing his ideas clearly and effectively, the omission of certain sections in the printed part or the version reveals practicality or practical limitations, so such as financial constraints rather than purely artistic decisions. He additionally the presence of notes and crossed out words offers insight into Rizal's thinking and revisions, so making the manuscript a valuable resource for understanding both the novel and its author. So, this highlights the novel's significance not only as a literary work but also as a historical document. So dito naman, so the manuscript and the book, ipinapakita dito yung juxtaposition of the two between the originality and the practicality that Rizal shows in the book itself or yung published version. So pinapakita dito na yung manuscript exhibits the valuable parts kung saan maraming kinos out si Rizal, and doon makikita natin yung some parts because of financial constraint na nung panahon na yon, he had to find successful merchant na para ma-finance yung smuggling ng libro ng No Limita en el Filibusterismo. So, because of that, because of financial instability, he had to cross out some parts of the original part so that may pakita niya or ma-publish yung what we saw today as the El Filibusterismo. So sa El Filibusterismo naman, makikita naman doon yung cross-out part, yung published version, and yung mga some part na pinagsama-sama na lang because of financial instability. So Rizal, because of expression of his feeling, ipinapakita niya na lamang dito na despite all the struggles, all the obstacles, he's still our hero who wanted to show all of us, even in the future, what was in the Philippines during his days. Pag-usapan naman natin inscription sa title. So the title page contains an inscription by Ferdinand Blumentritt, yung close foreign friend ni Rizal, explaining how revolutionary ideas can spread. So it suggests that even those loyal to the system like friars and officials may unknowingly contribute to the rebellion by supporting oppressive policies. So these actions help spread the belief that Filipinos can only be saved through separation from the Spanish or Spain colonization. So it can easily suppose that a rebel has secretly bewitched the League of Friar Zealots to spread ideas of rebellion. So, and to convince every Filipino that there is no salvation except through separation from the motherland. In this section, it represents a powerful and ironic insight into how revolutions begin. So it suggests that oppression itself becomes the driving force behind rebellion. So ipinapakita dito yung oppression daw yung driving force behind rebellion, as the actions of those in power unintentionally push people toward resistance. Instead of maintaining control, unjust governance creates dissatisfaction, so anger, and eventually a desire for independence. So idea that even loyal supporters of the system may unknowingly help spread revolutionary ideas. So it highlights how deeply flawed policies can backfire to the officials of friars. So this reflects Rizal's observation that change does not always start with open resistance but can be grow quietly through spread experiences of injustice, eventually leading to a collective call for reform or action or separation. So, makikita naman dito yung idea naman ni Ferdinand Blumentritt on how revolutionary ideas can work. So, totoo naman na too much injustices can force and can drive people to resist. So, gaya naman sa nangyari sa kanila Rizal, kung saan the injustices made by the Spanish colonization pushed them to start independence movement against the Spanish colonization. The reason why binigti or pinatay yung Gomburza because of mutiny, which then they supported the reform of Spanish colonization in the Philippines, kung saan too much oppression inflicted by the Spanish authorities pushed people to create independence movement or social reformation against the Spanish colonization or Spanish authorities. So ipinapakita dito na yung malalang system or systematic detrimental effect of those disease can push people forward to fight against the injustices that they felt during that time.
Good day everyone, especially to you ma'am. I am Kamid by Sandra, going to report about El Filibusterismo written by Dr. Azarizal. So in this report po, I will explain the ending of the story, including the death of Simon, the message of Padre Florentino, and some important characters. So this topic helps us understand the problems in society during Spanish colonization and the lessons that we can still apply today. At this part po, the end of El Filibusterismo, Simon is badly wounded and goes to the house of Padre Florentino. So before it dies, Simon realized that his plan of revenge and violence was wrong. So he feels sorry for his actions and makes peace with God. At this part po, revenge and violence are not the right way to bring change. So it is better to choose peace and righteousness. Padre Florentino says that, where are the youth who will consecrate their golden hours, their illusions, and their enthusiasm to the welfare of their native land? Where are the youth who will generously pour out their blood to wash away so much shame, so much crime, so much abomination? Pure and spotless must the victim be that the sacrifice may be acceptable. Who will embody in yourselves the vigor of life that has left our bands, the purity of ideas that has been contaminated in our brains, the fire of enthusiasm that has been quenched in our hearts? We await you, O youth, come for we await you. So yun yung sinabi ni Padre Florentino. So in this part, Padre Florentino talks about the youth and asks where they are. So the young people who are willing to give their time, energy, and even their lives for their country. So meaning is the youth are important because they are the hope of the nation, no, diba? So they should use their strength and passion for the good of the country. After Simon's death, Padre Florentino throws Simon's treasure into the sea. So sinabi niya dito may nature guard you in her deep abysses among the pearls and corals of her eternal seas. When for some holy and sublime purpose man may need you, God will in his wisdom draw you from the bosom of the waves. Meanwhile, there you will not work woe, you will not distort justice, you will not foment avarice. So yun yung sinabi ni Padre Florentino. So yun yung prayer ni Padre Florentino. So he says that the treasure should stay hidden until the right time comes when it can be used for a good purpose. So meaning, wealth that comes from bad intentions should not be used. Only things used for good are truly valuable. So proceed tayo sa other characters in El Filibusterismo. So the first character is si Cabezang Tales. Cabezang Tales is an important character in the novel El Filibusterismo written by Dr. Azarizal. So who is Cabezang Tales? Cabezang Tales, whose real name is Telesforo Juan de Dios. So Cabezang Tales is a poor Filipino farmer who worked very hard to build a peaceful life for his family. He cleared a piece of land in the forest and turned it into a productive farm. So Tales and his family live happily at first because of their farm. However, the land was later claimed by the friars, even though Tales was the one who worked on it. So because of this injustice, Tales lost everything: his land, his wealth, and eventually his hope. Ano nangyari sa kanya? So due to the unfair treatment and suffering, Cabezang Tales became desperate and angry. So he eventually turned into a bandit known as Matanglawin. So Matanglawin is rebelling against the abusive system. So Cabezang Tales symbolized the oppression of Filipino farmers during Spanish colonization. So the injustice of land grabbing by powerful groups. So how a good and hard-working person can be pushed into rebellion because of unfair treatment. So next is Julie. So Julie is a significant character in El Filibusterismo, and she is deeply connected to Cabezang Tales. So sino si Julie? So Julie is the daughter of Cabezang Tales. So she is kind-hearted, loyal, and innocent. So she representing the Filipino women who suffered during Spanish rule. So Julie falls in love with Isagani. So Isagani is a young man who is studious and patriotic. So she is very devoted to her father, standing by him despite the strategies they face. So Julie's life is full of hardship because of the injustice her father suffered and the oppression from the Spanish authorities and friars. So what happens to Julie? So Julie suffers greatly due to the abuse of power by the authorities. So showing the poverty of women and families under colonial oppression. So Her struggles also highlight the sacrifices of innocent people in times of social injustice. So Julie represents innocence, virtue, and Filipino woman's suffering. So she also symbolizes hope and loyalty. So as she remains true to her family and loved ones despite adversity. This character is Makaraig. So who is Makaraig? So Makaraig is a lawyer in the story. So he is portrayed as clever, somewhat sly, and ambitious. So he represents the Filipino professionals who try to navigate the corrupt Spanish system, often using their intelligence for personal gain. So Makaraig is involved in legal matters and disputes, often helping or representing people in court. So he is connected to the events around the peasants and their lands. Though he is not a hero, sometimes he prioritizes money and career over justice. This character po is si Padre Melon. So, who is Padre Melon? So, Padre Melon is a prior in the story. So, he is depicted as greedy, corrupt, and abusive of his powers. So, like many friars in the novel, he represents the oppressive Spanish clergy who exploit the Filipino people. His role in the story as Padre Melon is he takes advantage of the peasants, especially people like Cabezang Tales and his family. So, by claiming their lands and punishing them unjustly. So, Padre Melon is a symbolizes the abuses of the priors who prioritize wealth and control over justice and morality. Next character is Placido Penitente. So Placido Penitente is an also important character in El Filibusterismo. So who is Placido Penitente? So Placido Penitente is a student at the University of Santo Tomas. So he is intelligent and hardworking but also prostituted and fearful because of the strict and corrupt educational system under the Spanish priors. So his last name, Penitente, reflects constant struggle and suffering like someone always bearing a burden. So his role in the story, so Placido Penitente often speaks up about injustice in the school but feels powerless. So he represents the Filipino youth and students who are ambitious and patriotic, so yet oppressed by colonial authority. Placido Penitente, Dr. Azarizal shows how the Spanish system discourages critical thinking and punishes those who challenge it. The next character is Senior Pasta. So Senior Pasta plays a small but symbolic role. So who is Senior Pasta? So Senior Pasta is a Spanish government official. So he is depicted as arrogant, strict, and indifferent to the suffering of Filipinos. So like many Spanish authorities in the novel, he represents the abuse of power and colonial oppression. His role in the story is Senior Pasta is involved in administrative and official matters, showing the bureaucracy of the Spanish colonial government. So he treats the Filipinos coldly and unfairly, so highlighting how the system favors the powerful over ordinary people. So Tandang Celo is indeed the grandfather of Julie in El Filibusterismo. So who is Tandang Celo? So Tandang Celo is Julie's grandfather and Cabezang Tales' father-in-law. So Tandang Celo, elderly, poor, and hard-working farmers. So he represents the older generation of Filipinos who suffer over Spanish oppression. Next character is Mr. American Impresario. So he's a foreign businessman visiting the Philippines. So he's involved in organizing shows, entertainment, and spectacles for profit. So he represents the foreign influence and commercialization in the Philippines during Spanish colonial times. So his role in the story is he brings performances and exhibitions, so sometimes impressing or distracting the locals and students. So his character also highlights the fascination with Western culture and how it contrasts with the struggles of ordinary Filipinos. So though not central to the main plot, he adds a satirical touch, so showing how some people are more interested in entertainment than addressing real social problems. So next character is Sandoval. So Sandoval is a character in El Filibusterismo and he plays a role among the students. So who is Sandoval? So Sandoval is a Spanish student studying in the Philippines. So he is outspoken, proud, and idealistic. So he often defends Spain and the Spanish government. So his role in the story is Sandoval joins discussion with Filipino students about education and reforms. So he claims to support reforms, but his views are still biased towards Spain. So sometimes he speaks as if he understands Filipinos, but he still shows a sense of superiority. Next character is Cabezana Andang. So her role in the story is she plays a role in showing the simple and peaceful life of the family before tragedy happens. So her character highlights the struggles of mothers and wives during that time. So she eventually becomes a victim of violence and injustice. Next character is Pepe. So Pepe is a minor character in El Filibusterismo, but she still represents an important social reality. So who is Pepe? Pepe is a dancer and entertainer. So she is known as someone connected to wealthy or powerful men. So she is often described as charming and attractive, but her life reflects hardships. So her role in the story is Pepe appears in the scene involving entertainment and social gatherings. So she shows how some women during that time had to rely on entertainment or relationship with powerful men to survive. So next character is Padre Fernandez. So Padre Fernandez is a notable character in El Filibusterismo. So he's different from many other friars in this story. Who is Father Fernandez? So Father Fernandez is a Dominican friar and professor. So he is calm, intelligent, and more open-minded compared to the other priests. So unlike abusive friars, he is willing to listen and understand students. So his role in the story is becomes known for having a respectful discussion with Isagani. So Isagani is a student. So instead of punishing or silencing him, Father Fernandez engaged in a fair agreement about education and justice. So he represents a rare fair authority figure in the novel. Next character is Don Timoteo. So who is Don Timoteo? So he is a rich Filipino businessman. So he is known for being practical, status conscious, and eager to gain favor from Spanish authorities. So he is the father of Juanito Pelaez. So his role in the story is Don Timoteo focuses on business and social status rather than justice. So he wants to impress the Spaniards and be accepted by them. So he is involved in projects like buildings or events. So that show is desire for recognition and prestige. The son of Cabezang Tales, brother of Julie and G. Joy, is the silversmith who made the bridal earrings for Polita Gomez. Next part is characters based on real life. So as in the Noli, the characters in El Filibusterismo were drawn by Dr. Azarizal from real life. So for instance, so si Padre Florentino was Father Lencio Lopez. So Dr. Azarizal's friend and priest of Calamba. So Padre Florentino was based on Father Leoncio Lopez, a priest and Rizal's friend. So Isagani naman was based on Vicente Ilustre, Rizal's friends in Madrid. So lastly is Polita Gomez was based on Leonor Rivera, Rizal's former love. So Rizal used real people to make his story more realistic and relatable. Ginamit ni Rizal ang mga totoong tao bilang inspirasyon ng characters para mas maging realistic ang kwento, pero hindi eksaktong pareho. So binago niya ang ilang details para mas maipakita ang problema ng lipunan noon. So next slide is Noli and Fili compared. So the two novels of Dr. Azarizal, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, are different in many respects, although they are written by the same author, which is Dr. Azarizal, and are supposed to be dealing with the same story and have the same characters. So the Noli is a romantic novel, so it is a work of the heart, and a book of feeling, and it has freshness, color, humor, lightness, and wit. On the other hand naman is El Filibusterismo naman is a political novel. So it is a work of the head and a book of the thought, and it contains bitterness, hatred, pain, violence, and sorrow. So both novels were written by Dr. Azarizal, but they are very different. So Noli Me Tangere is romantic, emotional, lighter tone, so focuses on love, hope, and feelings. So while El Filibusterismo naman is more on political, serious, darker tone, so nagfo-focus siya sa galit, injustice, and revenge. So meaning as Noli is about hope, while El Filibusterismo naman is about reality and struggle. Which is superior? So ano ba yung superior? It is Noli Me Tangere, or El Filibusterismo. So they are different opinions kung ano ba yung superior, if Noli ba or Fili. The friends of Dr. Azarizal and the Rizalists today differ in opinion as to which is the superior novel, if Noli ba or the Fili. So si Dr. Azarizal is kinoconsider niya sa sarili niya is ang Noli is yung the Noli as superior to the Fili as a novel. So thereby agreeing with M.H. Del Villar. So, same sila ng opinion. So, Retana, Dr. Azarizal, first Spanish biographer, na naniniwala din siya na yung Noli nga yung superior sa El Filibusterismo. However, others such as Blumenritt, Graciano Lopez Chena, and Dr. Rafael Falma ang opinion nila is yung yung El Filibusterismo daw yung superior kaysa sa Noli. So, Lopez Jana in a letter to Dr. Azarizal, so date October 2, 1891. So, sinabi niya, El Filibusterismo is a novel superior to your Noli Me Tangere. As much for its exquisite, delicate, literary style, its easy and correct dialogue. So, its clear phraseology, vigorous and elegant. So, as for its profound ideas and sublime thoughts. So, exact answer. So, it depends on how people understand the message of each novel. There's the issue of which is the superior novel. So, yun nga, kung ano yung superior novel. The Noli or the Fili is purely academic, no? So, both are good novels from the point of view of history. So, nga, yung Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo is both sila na instrument in awakening the spirit of Filipino nationalism. So, both novel is responsible in paving the ground for the Philippine Revolution that brought about downfall of Spain. Sabi nga ni Mariano Ponce, sinabi niya kay Rizal, after niya mabasa yung El Filibusterismo, sinabi niya is, it is indeed excellent. I can say nothing of your book, but this, it is really marvelous, like all the brilliant productions of your pen. So, it is a true twin of the Noli. So, yun yung sinabi ni Mariano Ponce. So, both novels are important and should not really be compared kasi they both show the real situation of the Philippines under Spanish rule. So, they both help inspire Filipino nationalism and the revolution. So, meaning, instead of choosing one, you should appreciate both because they have the same goal, no? So, to awaken Filipinos. So, next slide is Rizal's unfinished third novel. So, even before Lopez Jaena suggested the writing of another novel, Rizal had already in mind to pen a third novel. So, noong September 22, 1892, 4 days after the El Filibusterismo came off the press, so, he wrote, si Dr. Azarizal, sumulat siya kay Blumentritt. So, ang sinabi niya dito sa sulat na yon is, I am thinking of writing a third novel, a novel in the modern sense of the word. But this time, politics will not find much space in it. But ethics will play the principal role. I shall deal mainly with the habits and customs of the Filipinos. And only 2 Spaniards, the friar curate and the lieutenant of the Guardia Civil will be there. I wish to be there. I wish to be humorous, satirical, and witty, to weep and to laugh amidst tears, that is to cry bitterly. So yun yung sinulat ni Dr. Azarizal kay Blumentritt. So yun nga, si Dr. Azarizal, nagpaplano siya mag-write, si Dr. Azarizal is nagpaplano siya sumulat ng third novel after ng El Filibusterismo. So, he wanted it to focus more on Filipino culture and daily life. So, less politics, more values and traditions. So, he wanted to be humorous but meaningful. So, yun nga, meaning si Rizal is marami pa siyang ideas but he was not able to complete them. So, that's all for my report. Thank you for listening.
So, Assalamualaikum and good afternoon everyone. So, let's proceed po sa story of unfinished novel or yung sa mga unfinished novel ni Dr. Azarizal. So, noong October 18, 1891, is Rizal boarded the swimmer Malvor in Marcel bound for Hong Kong. During the voyage, he wrote the third novel in Tagalog, which was intended for Tagalog readers, and finishing the early chapters in Hong Kong, he continued it but did not finish it because his Tagalog was inadequate for literary purpose. In other words, he could write better in Spanish than in Tagalog. So, during this October 18, 1881, si Rizal is nag-travel siya sa kanyang from Marcel. So, or sa kanyang ship na Malvor in Marcel's bound for Hong Kong. So, during this travel or yung voyage ni Dr. Azarizal is nagsimula siyang magsulat ng kanyang third novel in Tagalog language. Pero hindi niya natapos ang kanyang mga nobelang ito dahil nga nahihirapan siya i-express ang kanyang ideas sa Tagalog at mas sanay siya magsulat ng Spanish. Mas sanay siya magsulat ng nobela in Spanish. So, story of the unfinished novel. The unfinished third novel has no title. It consists of 44 page, 33 centimeter and 21 centimeter. So in Rizal, handwriting still in manuscript from it preserved in the Bureau of Public Libraries, formerly National Library. So ang third novel ni Dr. Zerizal na yung unfinished third novel ni Dr. Zerizal has no title o walang title. So nibuo siya ng 44 page, 33 cm and 21 cm. So ang manuscript niya is pinipreserve ito in Bureau of Public and Libraries. So the story, this unfinished novel, begins with the solemn burial of Prince Tagulina, son of the son of Sultan Saidi to Ternate. On malapad na bato, a big rock on the bank of the Pasig River, Sultan Saidi with his royal family and retrain was taken prisoners by the Spaniards during the war in Malocos and brought to Manila. The old Sultan, as children and followers, were promised good treatment, but the Spaniards forget this promise and let them die one by one in misery. So ito yung story, yung third na story ni Dr. Zerizal na walang title, but it begins in the burial of Prince Tagulina, son of Sultan Saidi of Ternate. So they were captured by Spaniards in Ilocos. So they were brought to Manila. So instead na matreat sila ng maayos doon, is they suffer and died in misery. So nag-promise yung mga Spaniards sa kanila na itatrato sila ng tama, but in return is na-betray sila, and instead they suffer and died in misery. So pinapakita dito sa story na to is the Spanish cruelty and the broken promise. So after that is the hero is Kamandagan. So the hero Kamandagan naman is the hero of novel was Kamandagan. So siya yung naging hero ng nobelang iyon ni Rizal, si Kamandagan. And descendant of Lacandula, last king of Tondo, he plotted to regain the lost freedom of his fathers. One day, he saved the two beautiful granddaughters, Maligaya and Sinagtala. So for the lostful Spaniards, the Cura and the Encomendero of Bay Laguna. So it said that Rizal was fortunate not to finish this novel because it would have caused greater scandal and more Spanish vengeance on him. So ito na yung pumasok na hero, si Kamandagan, descendants of Lacandula. So yung naging rule niya dito is he wants to restore the freedom of his ancestors. So he represent Filipino resistance. So he saved the Maligaya and Sinagtala from abusive or the lost for Spaniards. The Apres Cura and an Encomendora in Bay. So yun nga, giprotect niya yun mga babae na kung saan yun ang isinave niya, and honoring fighting justice and abuse of power. So Rizal didn't finish this novel because the story was too bold and critical of Spaniards. So masyado siyang vulgar at pinupunto o kinikritik ang mga Spaniard. So it could have caused a bigger problems and punishment for Rizal kung ipagpatuloy niya ito, kasi napakita dito yung vulgar na gawain ng Spaniard, and that's why he was fortunate not to finish it. So another unfinished novel of Rizal is yung Makamisa. So, a novel in Tagalog and written in light sarcastic style, and it is incomplete for only 2 chapters are finished. The manuscript consists of 20 page, 32.2 centimeter and 22 centimeter. So, itong makamisa, ibig sabihin ito is after mass. So, ang tone ng pagkakasulat nito is sarcastic style, and also ang nakakatawa ito siya na story na kung saan kapag binasa ng mga mambabasa o reader is parang matatawa sila. Funny storytelling that makes people laugh while still pointing out flaws or mistakes. So, ang karakter nito is si Padre Agaton, the parish fish curate, irritable and central to the story's event, and also si Aling Aday, townswoman mentioned in gossip, rumor to be slapped, and si Kapitan Lucas, another local official worried about his political support. So, ang makamisa ay sarcastic style or dahil ini-exaggerate ni Rizal ang malihit na problema sa bayan, and also the quirks na pare at yung political ambition ng isang funny at ironic na pamamaraan. So, nagpapatawa ito sa mga mambabasa, and also napapaisip din sila tungkol sa lipunan. So, itong story na to is ginawa ni Rizal habang kinikritik niya or pinupoint niya yung problema sa bayan o yung mga problema ng mga character is habang kinikritik niya or sinasabi niya yung mga flawless niya or yung mga mistakes nila, ginagawa niya to in a iconic way, or kumbaga parang nakakatawang pamamaraan or nakakatawang nobela and sarcastic tone or sarcastic style. So, let's proceed naman sa another novel which Rizal started to writing was entitled The Pitan. It is unfinished writing in ironic Spanish. He wrote it during the exile in Dapitan to visit the town life and customs. The manuscript consists of 8 page, 23 cm and 16 cm. So, dito naman tayo sa Dapitan. Isinulat ni Rizal ito sa Spanish habang naka-exile siya naka-exile si Rizal sa Dapitan. So, according to my research is kumbaga request to ng nanay niya. So, yung naka-focus ito sa daily life, customs, at social interaction ng mga tao sa Dapitan. So, pinapakita nito ang observation ni Rizal sa buhay ng baryo ng mga Filipino, kasama ang family routines, like yung mga pagtatanim, family gathering, at local traditions. And 8 page na lang ang naisulat, kaya incomplete yung kwento. So, nakikita natin ang mga glimpse ng ordinaryong buhay at custom sa bayan. So, proceed naman tayo sa another novel ni Rizal na nakasulat din sa Spanish about the life in Pili, a town in Laguna. It also unfinished. The manuscript consists of 147 page, and 8 and 6.5 centimeter without a title. So, among the characters of the following: Padre Agaton, a Spanish friar, Kapitan Pachong, and Kapitan Barang. Cecilia, their pretty daughter, is a gunny lover of Cecilia. Kapitan Crispin, political rival of Panchong, and Dr. Lopez, a free thinker. So, isinulat din ito ni Rizal in Spanish. Nakatuon siya sa buhay ng Fili, Laguna, na ipinapakita ang social life, everyday event at custom ng mga tao. So, mahaba ito kaysa sa Dapitan na 147 page, pero unfinished pa rin ito. Ipinapakita ng manuscript ang interest ni Rizal sa pagdocument ng local cultures and small town life, pero walang complete plot or ending. So, parehong nobela ay ginawa para ipakita ang tunay na buhay at libunan ng mga Pilipino. Pero dahil hindi natapos ni Rizal ito is walang complete, kumbaga parang walang twist, walang plot. So tanging uh, kumbaga tanging fragrance scenes and description, townspeople at custom ang meron doon. Another unfinished novel of Rizal, also without the title, is about Cristobal, a youthful Filipino student who has returned from Europe. The manuscript consists of 34 pages and one half and one fourth. So among the characters are Cristobal, who had studies for 12 years in Europe, Amelia, and his sweetheart, Capitan Ramon, the father of Cristobal, a Dominican friar and Franciscan friar, and Spanish lieutenant of the Guardia Civil. So, dito naman is pinapakita yung pagbabalik ni Cristobal sa Pilipinas, on Filipino society, kasama yung family life, love, and also na-encounter niya sa colonial authority. So, tinatalakay din ang clash ng European ideas and local traditions. So, yun nga, ang status nito is unfinished. Meron itong 34 page, and also that walang full plot or ending ito. So, fragments lang ang story na meron ito. So, another naman na unfinished novel ni Rizal is the beginning of another novel are contained in 2 notebooks. The first notebook contains 31 writing page, 35.5 centimeter and 22 centimeters. So, in the second, 12 written page, 22 centimeter and 17 centimeter. So, through the mouth of the celestial character, the author described the deplorable condition of the Philippines. This unfinished novel is written in Spanish and the style is ironic. So, dito naman is Rizal unfinished novel with celestial characters. So, he used ironic to describe the bad condition of the Philippines. So, yun nga, like he pretend to praise something na but the real meaning shows terrible or unjust. So, ito yung isa sa mga unfinished novel ni Rizal na kung saan is sa pamamagitan ng mga celestial character is pinapakita ni Rizal yung totoo o yung bad condition ng Pilipinas sa ilalim ng Spanish colonial or Spanish rule.